Okay, I'll make a motion that we open the meeting of January 12th, 2022 at 5:38.
Is there a second?
Second,
Polling the members, Darlene,
yes.
Dave, Janelle,
Yes.
Vicky, Janicki,
Yes.
Sean Pearson. You're muted, Sean.
Sorry, yes.
No problem. Got it. And I'll vote yes. Okay, so the meeting is open. So we had some minutes to look over, which of course, I don't know where the heck the minutes are.
Yeah,
Um,
I did review them, although I didn't remember, but Beth told me yesterday that I did, so I'll trust her on that one.
I looked him over too. I moved to approve the minutes of November 17th, 2021.
I'll second.
Second.
Okay.
Okay, polling the members, Darlene,
Yes.
Dave Chanel,
Yes.
Vicky Janicki,
Yes.
Sean Pearson,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes as well. So the minutes are approved. What else did we have? We had correspondence, which I went through, but on computer. Murphy's Law. Let's see here. It's got to be around somewhere. There it is.
Well, 3.1, Bill, is the FY23 budget and capital planning. I don't know
Right.
if there's-
Yeah, I got a kick out of our budget because we really don't have any budget other than our monies that we pay Beth with.
What about the cost for publication and such? Where does that come out of?
We're getting, people are writing checks for their own ads now. So we don't have to budget for that, which I think is brilliant.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And, you know, we're never going to get our trip to Acapulco in the wintertime, so we're not going to budget for that either. But
Yeah,
anyway,
okay.
so the budget, we just, I didn't even look at what Beth did, but I asked her to just put in the 3% raise for herself and let it ride at that.
Yeah, well, it's projected at 56.26. So I guess, Beth, does that include the 3% increase? Okay.
She's muted,
Yes,
but she's nodding.
The only thing was added in there was a 3% increase. And that is dependent on contracts. So I don't know if that's a final number or what. That's just what I put in there. Bill's like, yeah. So
Oh, better be proactive on that.
Oh, yeah, right. I mean, you might as well assume that everything is going to work out. So
yeah,
I think.
thank you.
Okay.
So our other, what's this, a draft annual report? Oh, boy. Well, I don't think we need to review this real time, so.
You're the one that signs it, so you could say anything you want.
Yeah, right. I'll keep that in mind.
Without any derogatory statements from other
I seem
people.
to get all the other documents except for those. In 3.1 and 3.2, I don't have any documents relating to that. So
They came early, they came this afternoon.
I didn't get anything this afternoon.
No, those were actually a few days ago, but I can send them again.
Oh, I mean, I opened them this afternoon.
That's right.
Right,
So,
okay.
yeah, it sounds like there needs to be a little more back and forth in terms of what you're receiving.
Yeah.
I
Like I told to you, Beth, I think it would, from a logistics perspective, I don't know if other people have been getting a little bit, I don't know, confused, but it takes time to go through them. When we get the documents sent to us in batches and we get the same batch with one or two more, we have to look at everything to make sure it's not duplicative or not. So I would ask perhaps if you send everything when you get it, and then if there's new stuff, just send the new stuff, not addition, you know, and say this is in addition to what we've previously said. Don't just keep sending the whole block of things. Just send the block once and then any additional documents one at a time. I think it'd be easier than, because then we wouldn't have to look through all the older stuff that we just got.
Okay. So the way that I've been doing it though, as you can see, is I'm putting it in a folder that's the SharePoint folder. And I build the folder as the information comes in for the public hearing, which is tonight. So there really isn't any way to, I'm not really resending materials, but I'm adding in the folder that's created for you for this meeting.
Yeah, in your email, okay, so if you're doing it that way, in your email, can you just identify in your cover email, attached, please find the additional documents are, and just list them out, and that would eliminate us having to go through it. Assuming there's no web. Yeah, do it that way.
Excellent.
Like the folder with all of one hearing documents in it.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you
got
should.
all the stuff at Jeff Street, but I don't have anything except for the original email you sent for the second one on December 7th.
So Darlene, do you have folders for both hearings tonight? That's really important because you're about to hear the
Yeah, no, I only got the folder for Jeff Street, and then you did exhibits for continuation yesterday. No, exhibits for continuation today. You shared a folder yesterday, and then you added me to some group that doesn't look like you can, it's an email.
Okay, so that could be a problem with you sitting at the hearing tonight. If you're telling me now that you didn't receive the documents that were sent to you. That's why I send out emails asking if board members have received the documents. So we really, we're gonna have to really figure this out.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. I'm looking at the meeting packet. On December 7th, you sent out a bunch of stuff.
I have no idea what you're talking about, Darlene. I don't have my emails open right now. So
Yeah, I have my emails open. I can confirm. She sent them out on the 7th.
You'll notice in the application for the second hearing tonight, I didn't know there was any more stuff.
So
it's in the
there was
SharePoint
one.
folder. Yeah.
Yeah, she sent another email Tuesday the 11th, yesterday, and that was a complete copy of everything again. And that was sent, I got it yesterday afternoon at 2:03.
But that's only for Jeff's. That's not for the second hearing.
No, that had everything in it.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay. Well, I can send it to you now if that helps. But you're at 5:47 right now. So.
that's kind of strange because I have the exhibit. It says exhibits for continuation of ZBA public hearing, 8 Jeff Street, Wednesday, 1/12. It's all 8 Jeffs.
Okay.
You got a piece of it, but you didn't get the whole thing? I don't understand
Very
how that's
weird.
possible.
Yeah. that's weird.
Darlene, she sent another one today, Wednesday the 12th at 2:12. You didn't get anything from today?
No, I didn't get any emails today.
Okay.
I can't confirm if she did or not because it's a blind copy, so I don't know if you got them or not.
I got the folder I got today at 2:12, David, like you said.
Yeah, that's got everything in it too.
I thought that was related to the group that you created yesterday, Beth, but I'm not sure. All right.
Yeah, that was yesterday. If you click on that link, it opens it up. You got the 478 Main Street, you got the continuation, you got preliminary agenda, and then you got the correspondence and everything.
No, that seems to work. I don't know what the group thing, I'm a little worried about the group thing anyway, because
Yeah.
whenever you have communications to, it's like copy all on your email.
Okay,
It's
So,
pretty
yeah,
hard. It's pretty
Yeah.
hard to observe the what do you call it? Open meeting law with hardware like that lying around. So
okay, I like that. I will definitely dissolve that and not
Yeah.
use that. But what I'll do right now is I'll send Darlene all the documents that she should need. We'll try it one more time.
great.
Does anybody know how to get to the Zoom meeting from the Townsend website? Because I'm doing it off my phone because I can't get it off.
Go to the calendar.
Yeah, if you go to the homepage of the website, there's a calendar.
Yeah.
And if you go to today's date, there you'll get a little list of all the meetings that are going on today.
Okay.
And then you can click on the appropriate one.
Oh, I got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
Beth, do you want me to forward the email I got from you today to Darlene?
No, I'm
Doesn't matter.
actually, I'm sending her, thank you. I'm sending her the file, so.
Okay.
I just
So-
checked my junk, my spam, everything. I didn't receive any email from today.
No, the email sent today was to the chairman and the clerk. So you shouldn't have received it today.
Oh,
All right.
bad.
Well, that's good.
there you go. You're exalted.
There you go. All right, I have a folder. Thank you, Beth.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Okay. All right, can we have a motion to open the continuation of the Jeff Street hearing?
So
So
move.
be it. Second.
Second.
Polling the members, Darlene,
Yes.
Dave Chanel,
Yes.
Vicky,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes as well. So the continuation of the hearing is open.
Hey, Bill,
Yes.
one of the things that we didn't do last week was the referrals, the mandatory referrals for Jeff. Can I, do you want me to read them or do you want to read them yourself?
You can read them. That's fine.
Okay.
I went through
First-
them.
Yeah, I know we talked about, but I don't think they were read. Board of Selectmen, the Board of Selectmen supports the billing decision. Board of Health, all hazardous and/or flammable materials must be properly stored and disposed of only. I don't know what that word means. Let me see if I can blow that up a little bit. Some kind of waste may be discharged to the Title V system. This is expected to be mostly bathroom and hand washing waste. Okay. Planning Board. Planning Board agrees with the findings of the Building Commissioner's determination. Unanimous vote, Planning Board and the public meeting. Okay. Conservation Commission. No comment. And then I think I have one. Is that it, Beth? You know, I don't think
Yep.
I have any others. Yeah, that's all I have.
What did the building commissioner? No, that's right. No, I don't think he did.
Well, Building Commissioner is going to agree with himself. So those are the referrals we got. Just wanted to jump in there.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, so I guess what we should do is have Mr. Pastor present his results of the research to verify the continuation of the business.
Excuse me,
Well, you're
Mr.
on-
Pastor,
go ahead.
will you be requiring a screen share on this?
Roy, you're muted.
I'm sorry. So I have a document, but honestly, I don't know how to put it on Zoom. So I'm
We should all
not
have
sure.
them.
Well,
We all have
Okay,
them.
well, what I'll do is I'll give you the the power to do it anyway, and if you can,
Okay.
you can. Good luck.
Okay, so no, I had sent in a list of utility bills. I know we had discussed utility bills to show that the business was active. I do have another document that I literally received as I was opening up the Zoom meeting, which I'll talk about in a minute. I did email it to zba@townsendmass.gov about after the meeting started, because that's when I received it. But what you should have in front of you right now are utility bills from Unitil and water from Townsend Water dating into 2020. As we discussed last time, Mr. Pham had passed away in April of 2019. We had submitted previously the death certificate, as well as the state Secretary of State documents showing that the business had been renewed. His brother was the president and wasn't dissolved until 2021. Mr. Smart purchased the property in March of 2021, less than 2 years. And then the issue came up was somebody thought for some reason that the building, that the business was abandoned. And we talked about having utility bills, and we've submitted those. I think the place has oil heat. So these are electrical charges from Unitil, and they range from $100 to $500 a month for activity. Now, the document, which clearly shows that the business machinery was being operated. I do have, that I did email just now, the document that I just received is an affidavit from and I didn't know this person exists. This was apparently the realtor got a hold of him who did the sale. A gentleman from Maine who has some sort of a custom tooling machine shop. And according to this affidavit, in October of 2020, October 16th, he met with Dan Pham, who's the son of Mr. Pham, the deceased individual, and purchased $50,000 worth of tooling from this location. So I think there's a lot of evidence that the business was not abandoned in that 2-year period they talked about. And I did email this, and I don't know how it gets to you.
Because, right, you know the rules. We can't really consider that, and you can't testify, so we can't consider it unless we have a document. So,
Right,
Beth,
I just received it, so I'm just letting you know I have it.
yeah, no worries. I
But
know.
the documents that we did send to you are basically what we talked about last time. The board indicated that they would find credible utility bills showing that the business was active during that time period, which certainly the utility bills do.
Yeah, I'd love to see that affidavit then.
Yeah, I was, I think it would have saved us all a lot of trouble last time if I had it. And again, I emailed it to zba@townsendmass.gov, so I don't know how it gets to you.
I'll tell you, let me, I don't have you in my system, Roy. What's going on with that? I don't have it. I was going to email you so you could send it, so you could tag it to my email. I could send it out.
No.
I can send it
Yeah.
out. Can you resend it to bfaxon?
Okay, let me see if I can do this. Without my secretary here, I'm fairly helpless. Gmail to, all right, I don't know why, but it's attaching to one of my billiard emails, so you'll get it from a strange email address. What is the address?
bfaxon
FAXON. Yeah,
at
yeah.
Townsend MA
Hold on. At Townsend Yeah,
.gov.
all right. Check your spam folder because for some reason I'm using my phone and it attached itself to,
Okay.
how do I send it?
No, I don't see it.
Yeah, for some reason.
All right, well, I'll have to log
Yeah,
into my
I'm
desk.
having trouble.
All
Roy,
right,
Roy, what's your email? We can do this quicker. What's your email, Roy?
Why don't you send it to me? I'm going to give you a personal email because the computer shut down in the office. It's
Okay.
New England spelled out at play, PLAY, USApool.com.
New England at Play USA what?
Pool, POOL.com.
All right, just send it to you with just the contact and the reference section. Attach it to that email and I'll send it to Beth.
Okay.
You know, while you're doing that, so my thoughts on this whole thing is the previous owner had a special permit to do what he was doing. He died in April of 2019. The property was purchased in March of 2021. It still had all the machining equipment in it. We talked about the business certificate. Those business certificates, they're good for 4 years. You get them from the town hall. And I've got to tell you, that's one of the things in this town. If you were to get a list of all the businesses in town, people forget to renew them. I forget to renew mine. I've been doing this for 20 years, so I might renew it every 5 years. So in other words, I don't put a lot of weight on those. There was one, it wasn't renewed. Okay, I get it. And I don't know, utilities, that's cool, but the utilities don't mean a lot for me because that might not apply to other instances of discontinuation of use or abandonment. I think within the 2 years, this gentleman had a property with machinery in it, and then somebody else bought it with knowing the history of what had happened. I don't know why they have to prove any further that it's assumed that this building was doing what it was doing. I'm not seeing the discontinuation of use or the abandonment here. So all these other documents that are being presented tonight, I think are icing on the cake, so to speak, but I'm okay with what we have. And that's how I feel.
Darlene, you have you have a room full of equipment. So what if it's there? If it's not being used?
Right.
Just the fact that it's present proves that it's a continuation of use.
I questioned if there was any.
Who said it's not being used?
Well, wouldn't there be like pay stubs or something, or like an employees that would have been? That's what I don't understand. I understand that the utility bills are there, but I thought there would be more like, like a pay stub from an employee or somebody that was going in and out doing all of that. That's where I did.
Well, as we talked about last time, these were self-automated machinery that made parts that somebody came in and Mr. Pham came in and put in raw materials and the machines ran. I think that was pretty much understood. So it didn't, when we discussed that last time, that's why we had talked about getting utility bills showing that evidence that the machinery was in operation. So I'm not sure what that would do.
I thought there'd be like, maintenance on the machines, or wouldn't they have to ship out of the place the parts or the stuff that
and again, these were, as everybody knows, this was military contracts to the federal government for missile machinery. A lot of it was. I didn't occur to me to call the White House or call, I don't know who I would even call to get military contracts. And I don't think they would give it to me anyway. So the whole issue was whether or not this was still being used as a business. There's been no indication of any evidence that it had not been used as a business, which surprised me when this came up, because I would have thought there would be some sort of good faith allegation that there was not a business. But the utility bills, everything we're looking at, shows that it was a business. When my client purchased it, every single piece of equipment was there. He had to remove what he needed to remove. I'm not sure. That's why when we talked about, I know this board was heavy on the utility bills last time. And that's what I provided.
If you look at, I'm sorry, oh, go ahead, Sean. I didn't want to interrupt you. So I'm looking at the Unitil bill, the last one, and you can see a definite change in the amount of electricity being used between April 2020 and like June 2020. So there's evidence there that there was some change. To me, that would say that probably they stopped operating between April and June of 2020, but before that, you can see that definitely the bills were higher and the usage was higher.
And where's the 2021 bills?
Yeah, I'm looking at the, what is it?
I'm looking at the last page of the bills.
Right, I'm looking at the first Unitil bill, and there's a big drop in the use in March, and March of 19, right? Yeah. And that was when the owner died, correct? So it looks to me like, right after he died, the electricity usage got low, and then it went up next winter, but not to the previous highs, but close. So I know it's hard to tell.
Yeah, that's a lot of
He died in-
summation and analyzing that may or may not be correct, so.
Yeah, the previous owner died in 2019. So this is in the bills I supplied, I believe, were from, most of the big ones were, I think, in 2020, which was well after he died. And within a year of when my client purchased the property.
Right, like what I was talking about with the employee, but wouldn't there also be like invoices for like material bought and then documentation that, hey, it got sold or transferred to Raytheon or whatever government contract company?
Well, obviously it didn't get transferred because my client bought it with the equipment. So the business
No, the
didn't
raw
go
materials,
anywhere.
but raw materials and stuff like that and all that stuff, or invoices, wouldn't that all come with the building too? Like, wouldn't it be?
No, my client bought it with all the equipment, everything was intact. So
Okay.
at some point in 2020, or some point between 2020 and 2021, they stopped doing business. The affidavit that I have that I'm still trying to send to you was in October of 2020. So there's nothing that would indicate that this was shut down prior to the previous owner's death in 2019.
Excuse me, Chairman Gadigan.
Yes.
I did receive that email and I did forward it to the board members.
Oh, you got it? Oh,
I was just going to say that I received it as well. So everybody should look at that one too, because, one of the things about, in my opinion, the machine shop functioning 24/7, grinding metal is one thing, but if they're also selling product out of the property, that's part of their business.
Yeah.
So this guy has an affidavit that he sold machine dyed made equipment in 2020, in October of 2020.
Yeah.
That would give me the position that it was still functioning, even if it's in a shadow, it's still functioning, albeit the sale of its product, but it's still functioning. And that's well within 2 years of the purchase of the property. It may be that they're getting rid of their surplus tools, but he's still functioning. I don't know if everybody's had a chance to review the affidavit.
Yep.
And it might have been an estate still, and guy was unloading all the stuff that the prior, keep in mind that the special permit was not granted to the guy individually. It was granted to the entity, not individually. So the entity was still functioning, although he does say he sold it, he bought it from this, whatever it is, guy's name, Dan.
Mr. Pham's, that's Mr. Pham's son. So this was a family affair. I think his brother was listed as president after he died, and his son was clearly doing something there. But so that's his son who made the sale.
I agree with you, Roy. I mean, I didn't agree with you last meeting, but I agree with you this time.
So what's the date when does the 2-year clock start that we have to be concerned? I'm trying to figure out, like, is it from when the permit was applied for originally? So is it 2 years from that date, or is it 2 years from the appeal date?
The abandonment, Vicky, is just that. It's that when the business stops functioning as indicated on the special permit. So you could have a permit that was 20 years ago, but he stopped doing that thing, whatever that special permit was for, in 2018. When he stopped, that's when the 2-year clock starts to run.
Okay, all right.
And that's why
Thank you.
his death, although this is an entity, it's not an individual case. But if it's a one-horse shop, and assuming that he was the main, the chief cook and bottle washer, you assume that the business probably suffered and stopped functioning. But this affidavit says otherwise. And I don't think, short of bringing the guy in to testify, I think we'd accept the affidavit as face value.
Yeah. Okay. So does somebody want to make a motion?
Yeah, I will. I'll make a motion that we. What's the application for? It was an application for
An
an appeal of the enforcement officer and a special permit? It was one or the other?
It's just an appeal of the building inspector's decision, I believe.
Okay, I'll make a motion.
One moment, excuse me. You should probably read the legal notice and make your motion based on that. Because I believe it was both a special permit and an appeal.
Well, Beth, I agree with you but I did read the legal notice last time, so you don't have to read it again. But if it's a twofer, if it's an appeal of the enforcement officer's decision, then it's usually an and/or special permit. So if we overturn the decision of the building commissioner, special permit is not necessary.
Okay, so
And
then
I would assume you would withdraw it as being moot at that point.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so I will make a motion that based on the findings of fact, the affidavit, Beth, make sure that's part of the documentary file, please.
Yep.
That for the property located at 8 Jeff Street, map 51, block 38, lot 0, that we overrule the building commissioner's decision dated August 26, 2021.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Polling the members. Anybody else have anything to say? Any members?
And that's contingent, Roy, on you withdrawing the special permit verbally right after that?
Yes, we request that it be withdrawn.
Okay, thank you.
Polling the members, Darlene,
Yes.
Dave Chanel,
Yes.
Vicky Janicki,
Yes.
Sean Pearson,
Yes.
Bill Cadigan votes yes as well. Thanks. So the motion carries. Trying to remember how this works. We have to file a decision. We normally get 14 days for that. And you'll get a copy of the decision in the mail showing the date of filing. The town clerk stamp will show the date of filing. And then there's a 20-day appeal period. And after that, you can get your, I don't know, building permit or whatever.
Well, does he really need anything though, Bill, after that? Because we just said that the existing decision is in play.
Exactly. There's no building permit needed. He can operate as usual, correct? Under the special permit from the planning board?
Yeah, the one from 12 years ago, or whatever, how many years ago it was, yeah.
Yes, it's not expired, so.
Okay,
Okay, thank you very much.
sure.
All right. Thanks,
Okay.
guys.
All right, so
I
our
can't
next
believe we
hearing
finished.
starts
No,
in
that's-
2 minutes or so, or what?
Yeah, I love the picture of the dog, by the way. Whoever Daniel Gilflick is, that's pretty cool. Might be advertising for the business, I'm not sure.
Could be.
I'm sure I have a lot who are interested in this one, though. Look at this.
It was just after one of Candace's groomings.
Who is this that is speaking?
Oh, this is Daniel Gilfix. You
Oh,
asked about
okay.
picture.
All right, so we're on 478. Very cool. We actually have a minute to spare. That's unusual, huh? 2 hearings in a half an hour?
Really?
All right, what do we got? All right, everybody ready?
Yep,
I'll make a motion that we open the hearing of Candace. And Candace, can I ask you to pronounce your name for me, please? Hagerström? You're on mute. You're on mute.
you're muted.
Still muted.
I'm
There you
new
go.
to this whole Google thing. Apologize. Hagerström.
Hagerström. Okay, thank you. I'll make a motion. We open the hearing on application of Candace Hagerström for a special permit at 6:15.
Second.
Okay, polling the members, Darlene,
Yes.
David, Chanel,
Yes.
Vicky,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. Okay, so the hearing's open. The clerk will read the notice, please.
Okay, in accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 48, and the Townsend zoning bylaws of Townsend, Mass will hold a remote virtual public hearing Wednesday, January 12th, 2022 at 6:15 on the application of Candace Hagerström for a special permit under zoning bylaws 145-26B, residential A and B special permit uses pursuant to 145-65 special permits and/or appeal of the building commissioner's determination under zoning bylaws 145-64. The applicant and property owner propose to construct and operate a dog grooming business and residence in the existing family home at 478 Main Street, Assessors Map 11, Block 1, Lot 0, public remote access only, and to the meeting is via the following Zoom link. Parties wishing to speak in support of or in opposition to this application may do so in writing prior to the hearing or at a virtual hearing. How do you get to be a virtual hearing in person or represented by an agent?
How do you set up the representative? That's even more difficult.
To the office of the town clerk during business hours by email and or request for digital copy, Beth Fax and townsendmass.gov, William Cadigan, Chairman. Okay.
Great. Let's see. I wanted to go through the mandatory referrals first, and then we'll listen to Ms. Hagerström's proposal here. So what do we got? Oh, the Board of Selectmen. The Board of Selectmen says that they support the ZBA decision in this matter. And what else we have? 6 hours ago, the Conservation Commission said that as long as the butters have been notified and to take into consideration that a beauty parlor would use far more harsh chemicals into septic, we have no negative feedback. So that's conservation. And then there's a third item here, Historic District Commission. No, they're not happy. The architectural changes that were made to the front of the building on the left side of the garage technically should have required review by the Historic District Commission. The 2 wooden doors have been replaced with windows and a single glass door. The property lies within the boundaries of Historic District 3, and those said changes are visible from the roadway, therefore requiring a certificate of appropriateness. The said changes have already been made without Historic District Commission review. So you'll probably be hearing from them. That's all I can say.
I already have.
Oh, okay.
My application was submitted. I wasn't aware when we pulled the original building permit in October. I just found out about that a few weeks ago. So the application was submitted. I spoke with her. So they have it.
Okay. So you want to tell us what you,
Bill, there's a few
time
more,
out.
there's a few more there,
Yeah.
sorry. Board of Health.
there's a few more
Scroll
there
down.
where,
Scroll
Yeah,
down
Board
after
of
the
Health.
board. Yeah.
Scroll down, there's Board of Health and
oh,
Below the
scroll down
historic-
on the, I just read the one. Okay. Board of Health, building commissioner. His comments, this space is extremely small. I couldn't imagine, I think imagine is what he meant, but image more than one dog in this space at a time. The only other concern I have is that a building permit was acquired for interior renovation. And based on pictures submitted with the application, it appears that exterior changes were made to the building, unbeknownst to me at the time of inspection. Therefore, the owner will be required to obtain a certificate of appropriateness, a certificate of non-applicability, or a certificate of hardship with respect to such construction or alteration from the Historic Commission. Okay, then we have the Water Department with no comment. The Highway Department, no comment. The Board of Health, okay. The applicant recently discussed her proposal with the Townsend Board of Health over several meetings and presented a plan similar to the one provided in the ZBA application. The Board of Health approved the flow to the septic system, working under the assumption that she would be the only employee and required that she submit her water meter readings for the first year using the space. The Board of Health does not have any additional comments, as the board's concern have already been addressed in their own meetings with the applicant. Okay, is that better?
That's all. Yep.
Okay. All right. So, Ms. Hagerstrom, could you just kind of outline your plans?
Sure. I had an existing business for 3 years, permitted in Lunenburg. I sold my house because we outgrew it. I have 4 children. We moved to Townsend October 1st, and several meetings with the Board of Health and holdbacks. The shop is ready other than my tub being hooked up. I'm hoping to continue my business as I've lost like 50% of it over the last 3.5 months. I want to show you, since no one's done a site view other than the building commissioner, who realized how tiny this operation is, and it's just me. So I want to turn the camera around and show you guys where I'm at, if that's okay,
Sure.
and what we've done, so you can see in person. Okay.
Mhm.
So I am on Main Street. I am right across from the Antique Associates.
Oh, yeah.
Here's my long driveway. So you can see my abutters personally. Antique Associates, the Memorial parking lot. I believe that's a hotel way back there. My other abutters way down the street. And this house over here is vacant that I know of. No, I haven't seen anybody there or anything on since I moved in. So this is where I am. This is my barn. So looking for a house, I shopped for several months, and this little shed over here that had the 2 barn doors seemed like the ideal place to continue on my business, and big house to raise my kiddos. I only put these decals on the door for you today to show you my only outward signage that I am planning on using is just that. I am a referral only business. I work part-time, one dog at a time. This is what we've done to the interior. Here's my little grooming shop. So, sorry, slippery. My little reception area, very small. I'm going to be putting a gate right here for dog safety. Reception desk, my bathtub. Over here is where my plumbing is going to be. Since it is the winter now and no longer October, I have to do a water holding tank with like a well pump and a water heater to get water into my bathtub, and hopefully can still run my sewer lines outside. Grooming table. Sometimes I have clients with 2 dogs, so I'll put a little dog here to dry. And this is about it. So as you can see, I have no intentions of having a busy grooming shop. It is just me. I like it that way. I've been grooming 25 years and I worked in the busy industry for far long enough. The last 3 years have been great. I just have a one-on-one service. And like I said, I work part-time so I can be home with my kids. And that's that.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. We did already do the work just because I hired my contractor buying this house in October 1st. And he had other jobs lined up, so we had to take a chance. And unfortunately, my application for my business permit sat on a desk for a month. By the time the building commissioner got it, I missed the December zoning meeting and had to wait till January 12th. So I've been out of business for 3.5 months at this point, and I'm just hoping to get back to what I do.
Okay. So now, this is in the residential district, right?
Yes. On Main Street across from another business.
So I'm just looking at the, so the building inspector, did he write you a letter or something? Do we have
Yeah,
that? from him?
Yeah, he finally got my application because it was with the board.
I was
of
just
Health for
reading
a
that, Bill. He basically told her it's not a permitted use, that apply for a special permit or appeal his decision.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's built into the applications, pages 6 and 7 of the PDF that we have on the application.
So they permit a commercial kennel, animal or veterinary hospital, provided that such use is located on the same premises as a dwelling and is conducted by a resident thereof. I mean, that seems to be the closest.
And speaking on behalf of a kennel, it's very noisy. I have one dog here at a time. There's no noise. It's just me and one dog. It's a pickup and drop off service only, one client at a time.
Yeah. So Bill, my, when I first saw this, when it first came down, an appeal of the building inspector or the zoning enforcement officer's decision, I don't see how that even flies. I mean, it is not a permitted use. I don't see how we get past that.
No.
But then you go to the special permit, but it's not a permitted use, so I don't see how we can overturn Eric's decision. Someone else wanted to.
No, that's not applicable. I think he was just, it's just, what's the word? He just adds that in his letters for everything.
CYA.
Boilerplate. Yeah, boilerplate, right?
Right.
He's the standard form of him. I mean, it's good. I like the way he sort of lays everything out for us.
No, he does a good
helpful.
job of his decisions, so I like him. So, Anybody
So
else want to talk?
special Permitted, special, it qualifies for a special permit. So I guess that means we have to go through the criteria then.
Well, no, then you look at it, so it's not a permitted use. So you can't generate a special permit on a use that's not permitted within the bylaw. That's the whole thing.
It's under specially permitted, or did I read it wrong?
You read it wrong.
Okay.
It's not a permitted use, period.
Now, when I purchased a home in
26
Townsend,
26
there was
Candace, Candace, wait a minute, Candace, we're
but
discussing it right now.
grooming
You gotta,
isn't specifically mentioned.
okay, you gotta let us talk, Candace, now, okay? So my point would be that if it's not a special permit, then it would be a variance because it's not a permitted use.
Oh, I'm thinking the word kennel. You know, dog grooming is way lesser impact than dog kennel. Why is that not there?
Well, that's not a question for us. That's a question for town meeting.
Yeah. Commercial county, no, a veterinary hospital.
Chairman Cadigan, if I may, I do believe the ZBA doesn't grant use variances. Am I wrong, David?
No, it's actually, that's a state requirement that you cannot do that.
Right.
That's under 48 of Mass General Laws.
Okay.
So you're correct. And we can do it, but it would be illegal.
I had a permit for my dog grooming business in Lunenburg. It was permitted in 10 minutes down the street from here. I had a legal dog grooming business for 3 years.
Yeah,
And I
no,
walked into the town
guess-
hall and I walked out with my permit.
Candace, we're discussing the language in here. The part that allows a special permit isn't for dog grooming. It's for a commercial kennel, animal, or veterinary hospital. And
Yeah,
shaking my
I'm,
head on that, but-
I'm in the, it's close enough for government work camp on this one. Because I think that's kind of an arbitrary distinction, and
Yeah,
well,
I
we
agree with
wanna-
you, Bill. I agree with you, Bill. in
there
that
wasn't a
it's-
lot
it-
of dog grooming going on in the 80s when we wrote this bylaw.
But it,
So
yeah,
what
it
would you-
falls in the same category. Yeah.
I think.
What
it
would
does,
you,
but-
what would you prefer, to overturn Eric's decision or issue a special permit?
Well, you tell me.
I'm not in favor of either, because I don't think it's, you and I have been on this board for 25 plus years, and I don't like to read into the statute. If the bylaw says A, it's A. You can't go back and forth on it.
Yeah,
We just had a thing with, it was 2 months ago. It's the same thing.
Mr. Chair, if I might butt in, even though I'm only an associate, I
yeah,
seem to remember a handful of years ago, the ZBA had a similar request for somebody down on Edwards Road that wanted to open up a dog grooming facility. And basically what Mr. Chanel just stated is what we applied to that case to deny the application. So
Yeah,
there,
if you remember-
we've set a precedent in the past, even if we didn't mean to.
Dave, if you remember, that was Adam Sandler's sister too, by the way. Remember that?
Yes,
That was Pearlbrook Road, not, what road did you say?
it
Edward.
was off of Edwards Road down in that
Yeah.
area.
Yeah, I remember that.
No, the Pearlbrook Road one, I thought she wanted to do a kennel.
I thought it was
Adam's sister.
There was a lot of opposition from the neighborhood as well.
Yeah.
So,
I
Yeah.
think there may have been one in the interim when I wasn't on the board, but the one that I'm referring to was off of Edwards Road. She didn't want a kennel. She wanted a straight ahead dog grooming facility with a small holding area that she considered to be a small kennel.
Okay, that's different, yeah.
That's different. Yeah.
But-
So
but
I
it was still-
definitely wouldn't see this as an appeal because this is not an activity, definitely not as a matter of right. It's whether it would fit in that number 9.
But I have a question. With
Yes.
that permit, what is that? Could she ever expand on that? Make it bigger?
Well,
The permit would be granted for what is applied for and whatever conditions we set. And then, of course, there's the time period, which the nice thing about the time period on it is when they come back to renew, if anything's going wrong and the neighbors can, the neighbors have a chance to go, hey, yeah, this was a bad idea. There's a problem, or you're not doing what we permitted. It's a chance to discuss it. Or better yet, everything's going great. This is awesome. Okay, renew. So let me just say, so what does a veterinary hospital do? They service. So a kennel is a keeping of dogs. A hospital would be servicing animals. Is there any way you could see grooming fitting into that definition? Just to talk it out.
I mean,
think Eric-
the idea of a service is an interesting idea to look at it from that perspective.
Animal
I
or
think-
veterinary hospital? So what's a hospital?
Eric
Maybe
Eric
it's
kind
just
of
a grooming
answered the question.
hospital.
Eric kind of gave her a clue on that in his email that was included in the application. Talking about commercial, that if you change their application to commercial, because I would think grooming of an animal is
Service,
kind of
that is
like
that
a-
correct?
yeah, it's kind of like collateral service to a
Right.
kennel. If in the kennel you would probably groom dogs, and I think Eric even went so far as to suggest that to her, and the things that I saw, which I thought was not appropriate for him to do that, but I think that's the animal hospital. I don't see you get that, but if you want to squeeze it into a commercial kennel that she keeps dogs
Yeah.
with for hours, it's kind of like a motel versus a hotel. So hour at a time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the only if she goes commercial kennel, it means that the dog officer needs to inspect once a year. I think that's the only difference there.
Can we?
'Cause I know
send
as a personal
planning
kennel,
board-
I get inspected once a year.
Can we send the planning board a memo that maybe this should be looked at and change some verbiage in there?
I think
Well,
I think that's a good idea.
I
Won't
think,
help
yes.
now.
That's a good idea. I mean, we have to do whatever we can to maintain the bylaw, but that doesn't help us at the present moment.
Correct.
Bill, why don't you ask
Yeah.
if there's any abutters that are in favor or against, just so we can put things in perspective.
Are there any abutters on the Zoom meeting that want to say anything? We got a lot of muted people on the Zoom meeting. Okay.
That didn't work. What about Alyssa Struthers? She had some comments.
She's the historic district person.
Yes, I'm here.
Do you have any comment?
The only thing the Historic District Commission is concerned with is the application for a certificate of appropriateness. Any visible architectural changes visible from the road within the on a property within the Historic District requires review by the Historic District Commission. As Candace stated, an application was received today at Town Hall for said certificate of appropriateness, which she will still have to get regardless who decides what. That will still be necessary.
Mhm.
And that application will be processed accordingly now that it's received.
Okay. Anybody else?
Mr. Chair, I have a question for Elisa. If that permit that she was just talking about doesn't fly, what would that mean if the board tonight were to grant the permit for her to operate this dog grooming operation?
Well, I did pass that through Mass Historic. And see if I can find that. It doesn't negate the need for her to obtain a certificate of appropriateness.
Any decision we make here tonight does not change that you have to comply with Board of Health.
The historic
conservation,
district is.
Historic district, anything like
Right.
that.
Right, but what I'm getting at is if we grant, or if the board grants the permit tonight, and then the historic district reviews it and says, no, that can't stay that way, then what? They're gonna have to tear the front off or whatever improvements they made and put it back the way it looked, or what's the ramification of their decision? In other words, should we decide now tonight or wait until the historic district has a review first?
Dave, that's exactly my question. I was wondering, does the historic district have any enforcement component to its agency? Can you force them to put it back the way it was, or do you have to just take it the way it is now?
No, we can deny the work that's been done if that is the vote of the commission.
But just denying the work doesn't mean you force them to put it back, though. That's what I'm saying. Do you have enforcement? Do you have
There's-
enforcement ability?
In our bylaws, somewhere there is verbiage on the enforcement, which can be fines. Typically comes through the building department, I believe, building commissioner. Excuse me for not having that all in front of me.
No, it's like,
Well, this sounds,
However, without the certificate of appropriateness, it could be, I can't say for sure, but would be, then go to the building department where there you have a building permit in limbo there.
well, you know what? I'm feeling like now we need to send a letter to the building department, the building inspector, asking what the authority is of the historic commission, because I've recently had not recently, maybe in the past year, had a conversation with historic district person saying, hey, what do I need to know as a real estate professional? Letting people know that they might have some additional criteria, you can or can't do something. And basically they couldn't really answer the question. It was more like suggestive what they could do. So I'm gonna question that enforcement, that I'd really like to know more on that as a definitive answer. So
In my letter recently from Mass Historic, it states that this, in terms of ZBA HDC interaction, ZBA approval does not override the need for HDC approval. So we're just approving the work, visible architectural changes done to a building in the historic district. That's a decision we'll make, and you all make the decision you make. But yes, there is enforcement. I just don't have that in front of me, but it's stated that it's in the bylaws.
Elisa, at some point, if you could send that to me, I would love to read that.
On the, Darlene, if you go to the website and go to Historic District Commission, the bylaws are there, and you scroll down to Historic District.
Okay.
And it has verbiage there, whether or not that answers your specific question. Sorry, I don't have that right in front of me. I wasn't prepared for that question.
Okay.
But that's what I've been instructed by Mass Historic, Mass General Law, 40C.
I have seen a lot of cities and towns with very strong historic district bylaws that give you basically the authority to do whatever you want, to impose whatever you want. Other towns have suggestions, but not enforcement component to it. And that's what I was asking. In all the years that we've been doing this, I don't think we've ever had a property that's been in the historic district that, and Darlene shaking her head, no, we've been involved since 93, 94, and her and Bill before that. And I've never seen it.
Right.
So I just don't know what the enforcement component is.
Yeah. All right.
But the building, his decision, he does talk about Elise, what do you call that thing again? That certificate of
Certificate of appropriateness.
I don't know what that means, but the building inspector references it as well. So, so maybe appeal to Eric.
Sounds arbitrary.
It was through the building inspector that we were informed of this, what's called illegal work, architectural change. So that's where it was caught, if you will, in that net. And then we have to do our job and review it.
I have a really hard time with that word illegal because
I'm sorry, that's just the way it was put.
I know, but you know what? I hired a contractor. I went to the town hall. I pulled permits for the business. I pulled permits for the work, and I am really sorry, but I just purchased this home in October, and I was not made aware until 3 weeks ago that I was even supposed to apply for that. So that's not really fair.
Well, it's understandable.
You know, I'm
but it
not
doesn't
trying to
negate-
hurt anyone's feelings. I just removed an old barn door.
Candace, we're going to mute you if you don't stop. Okay, just stop. And at least I will take exception as well to the word illegal. It may not be a permitted. It may not be a permitted construction, but it's not illegal. Okay.
It's just the way it was termed to me, and I apologize if that's insultive. I didn't mean it that way. It's the way it was termed to me from the state.
That's how most people refer to things, but having illegal means it applies to the criminal code, which is not the case. It's just a non-permitted building. Yeah, it's just a non-permitted structure. That's all. So
okay. So what are we going to do here, folks?
Would you like any other comments, feedback from people outside the group, or not yet?
Sure. Yeah, we'll take comments.
Yeah, just state your name for the record.
Okay, my name is Daniel Gilfix. I'm a client of Candace. I've been going to her for several years, and I think she's the best. And I think you guys are privileged to have her in your town. I drive from Acton. At 45 minutes, I'm willing to go to Townsend. The only other time I'm in Townsend, I'm part of the Indian Hill Dig Band, and we play in your library once a year. So I have a fond connection with Townsend, but I really, really am so sorry about what's happening here to Candace, because she really is the best of her trade. And I wish you'd find some way to grant her the permit. And a couple of things I've observed so far, I'm not sure if I understood correctly. Is the way the document is written right now, it's a dog grooming shop is not allowed, but a hospital is?
Yeah, that's accurate.
Yeah.
So if she's classified as some sort of medical service, that's a good thing.
Well, it's not medical. It's a veterinarian hospital, not a medical hospital. It's
Right. Okay. So just for the record, Candace focuses on doodles, and I have a doodle, and I don't bring my dog to Forever Faithful because I just want my dog to look good. It's a medical necessity for doodles to be groomed. If they are not groomed, then they will become matted and infected, and they'll need to go to the hospital. So truly, it is a medical service for doodles. So that's number one. Number two, I've dealt with historic commissions here in Acton, and I truly value the work that they do in protecting the town. Unfortunately, it's very difficult for a lot of residents to figure out, when they're infringing upon historical committee bylaws. And I think in this case, was it not the duty of the town in some way, shape, or form to alert Candace beforehand that she may be in violation of something? And isn't it possible, as it is here, to make exceptions, especially when somebody does tasteful work and they're not really creating an eyesore? So I would hope that, you know, you guys could grant approval and let the building, and let these Historical Commission take a look at it. But I think the goal at the end of the day is not to drive Candace out of business, because already she's been penniless. She's trying to support a family in your town. She hasn't been able to work since October, during the most important months of the year for a groomer. And she's a very good person. So please do what you can to get her up and running so that we all can come to get our dogs groomed at the same time we might do business in town. I mean, she's all well-intentioned. She's a really wonderful woman. And, you know, she's been doing everything she can to abide by all the commissions in town. And it's you know, sadly, it's become almost impossible for her to work. So I just hope you could take that into consideration and find a way to give her approval and let her work. Thank you.
Thank you.
So what if we looked at this under the kennel, and can we limit it to no more than 2 dogs at a time?
I don't know why not.
Yeah. I mean, I'd probably bump it to 4. I think I'd be
Well,
comfortable
the
with 4. But
kenneling dogs, you know, and having neighbors, that's a whole, it's can have a bigger impact on the neighborhood than grooming.
Right.
So the only way it'd be in favor of going that route is if we could limit the number.
Well, the minimum kennel is 4 right now for Townsend if you have a personal kennel. So I have a 4-dog kennel license.
Okay.
So that's the minimum. That's why I thought it would make it at least the same as if she had gotten a personal kennel license.
Well, I think, you know, given the size of the space, she's probably never going to get up to 4.
Yep. Unless she's got some chihuahuas coming in, maybe.
Yeah. 4 golden retrievers, maybe, but I don't know about Irish Jack Russells.
I just wanted to comment too. My name's Robin Fisher. I've also been a client of Candace's for the last 2 years. And I just want to echo Daniel's comments that Candace is the best. She takes dogs in one at a time. They love her. She's excellent. She keeps the dogs under control. She's just a really nice lady. She does a great job with really difficult dogs. I don't think that's going to be a problem for anybody who abuts her house. We're all quiet. The dogs are quiet, and she's a wonderful woman. I just want to echo that. I hope you give her a chance here.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
What does it set precedent that if it's getting a special permit as a dog groomer, but it's not getting a special permit as something other than what it is? You know what I mean? That's the only problem I have is I kind of go by the verbiage of how it's written. And if the word groomer isn't there, then I have a hard time voting yes.
Right. Well, it's a problem.
That's why we were trying to go the other, find something in the other allowable words to phrase this or contain it somehow.
Oh, well, Sean's saying that once you make a distinction between kennels and grooming, it's hard to go back to mash them together.
I actually missed what you said, Darlene. My internet went out for a second.
Oh, I said that's why we're trying to find a way to have this be contained in the either kennel or veterinary hospital. And what is the definition of that? And can grooming fit in there somehow? I mean, this really bothers me, you know, for everybody that's attending this meeting, we're not allowed to be arbitrary. We are supposed to go by the letter of what's written. It's either allowed, it's not allowed, or it's allowed by special permit. Those are the options. It's not in here. And that's really a shame because, like I said earlier, grooming is not as, get the word, a kennel is much more
Not onerous. It's onerous.
on the neighborhood than grooming. So grooming should be in there, but it's not. We can't change that. So I'm just looking to see how we can get you what you want to do, because I don't have a problem with it. But unfortunately, if all of us, none of us have a problem with it, it doesn't mean we can just say, okay, fine, we don't have a problem with it. We have to use the language. We have to make it fit somehow.
And I had a question for Candace.
Yeah.
Did you talk to the realtor about this before you went to buy the property? I'm not saying the realtor might have lied to you, but did anyone talk to you and said, hey, you know, to run the business?
I live 10 minutes down the street in Lunenburg. I walked into that town hall. I walked out with my grooming permit, and I was in more of a residential than here. So I personally took the time to read all the bylaws, and grooming was not mentioned specifically, but neither was it in Lunenburg. You guys seem more lenient than all the rules that were in Lunenburg that I was in compliance of. So in searching for this home, I found this beautiful house. When I first started looking for a house, all I wanted was an old farmhouse in Townsend, and it came up and I fell in love, and there was a great little bump out on the garage, and I'm like, it may be expensive, but what a great little spot to have my shop. I had no idea because it wasn't even an issue at all in Lunenburg, 10 minutes down the street. I lived on West Street, which was more residential than this. I'm like, I'm on Main Street across from a business. What a great house. I had no idea, and the realtors don't know. It's been a very long process, and I wish I knew this back in the beginning before I spent all the money in here, but I didn't know. So here we are.
What were you granted for in Lunenburg?
A business permit. I have a business license in a special permit. I walked in with my presentation. The building commissioner looked at it. He said, okay, West Street, here you go. There's several home business grooming shops in Lunenburg. It's a different district apparently, so I was unaware of the differences between the two, but it was 10 minutes from here. So I really was in my head thinking it was going to be the same process. I did not know that it was going to be like this. And I took a chance selling my house, closing my business, and moving to Townsend. But I loved this town, and it was really hard for me. You know, it's been very hard.
Just thinking out loud, is there any way this could be an accessory use in a residential zone?
Are you asking me?
No, I'm asking the board.
Oh, okay, because I don't know what that means.
Like a home-based business?
Right.
That could start a whole nother can of worms too. That means we'd appeal the decision and go, oh, this is a home-based business.
That's exactly what it is, though. It is a home-based business.
Yeah, but that has its own, nothing can be visible from the street, no more than so many employees.
I don't have any employees.
It's really for male-only businesses. Customers are not supposed to visit for a home-based business. So I'm most inclined to, I mean, a kennel is a small shelter for a dog or a cat. That's what a kennel is.
But why couldn't she have just applied to be a kennel and then do a dog grooming at the kennel? Would that?
She didn't apply for that either. She didn't apply for a kennel. So all your neighbors might have a problem with the kennel, but not dog grooming, which is what was advertised. Can we go out on a limb and say that grooming is
So Eric had also mentioned, or Rick, I'm sorry, that hair salons are allowed, right? For a special permit? He said you're in between a hair salon and a barber shop and a vet clinic. Because grooming is
In a
not
hair salon, you
mentioned.
don't get bitten by your clients usually.
Yeah. Well,
Unless you've got
My
kids.
dog either.
it could happen. It could happen. But
So if I applied for a hair salon, would that be allowed? Because customers visit.
Mm. That's an interesting thought, Sean.
yeah,
I am a hair salon just for dogs.
And it,
that's
yeah,
right.
and it's
It
actually
doesn't
maybe a
say
better
for
fit.
people or for dogs. It just says a hair salon,
Salon. Yeah, that fits
beauty salon, which
better.
is also meets the definition. Where is that thing anyway?
And could be classified as a beauty salon specializing in dogs.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
And the total number of employees doesn't exceed 2, and the residential character of the premises is preserved. That seems to fit.
Based on what you guys were just saying, that would beg the question then, unfortunately, would she have to reapply? Rather than applying like she is now for a dog grooming facility, would she have to withdraw and then reapply for a beauty salon / beauty parlor, however you'd word it, to squeeze it in there?
Yeah, I think strictly speaking, otherwise it would be defective notice.
How much of the process that she's already gone through would she have to go through again, if any? In other words, visiting the Board of Health, Conservation, et cetera, et cetera.
It would have to start from scratch. If that's what the board wants. It would have to be renoticed and go through the mandatory referrals, the whole 9 yards, publication.
Okay, what they were just discussing, Dave, like you being a lawyer, how displeased would you be if she withdrew and then came back with a different title for the same operation?
Well, that's what Eric suggested, that she reapply as a commercial kennel with just a collateral business of dog grooming. It's a way to get around the bylaw. I don't necessarily agree.
I hate to say it, but that's probably the best bet. I mean, when we're talking about animals here, not people, and barber shop is people. I would have a hard time going that route. And
I think what, I haven't participated in the last 20 minutes because I just wanted to see how everybody was going, but you're really trying to squeeze put a square peg in a round hole. That the reason why the bylaw is what it is there's uses by right, there's permitted uses, and there's not. You're trying to see something in that's not acceptable, whether it was an oversight in '88 when Bill, you had your hand in drafting this, I think, right?
That's right. Like I say, my dog certainly didn't get groomed, and I don't even know if dog grooming was a thing in the '80s.
Yeah, I never groomed my dog until about half a dozen years ago.
I mean, I cut the mats out of their coats and stuff. That's about it.
Can I argue that it doesn't mention dog grooming in the bylaws? Yes.
Nowhere.
No,
I don't think it does.
not allowed. I've read them. Nowhere does it say that dog grooming is not
We've read
allowed.
it many times, but it doesn't help.
The way statutory construction works, Candace, is if a use is listed there as a permitted use, then it's a special permit. It'll say it's a matter of right. If it's not mentioned at all, then it's not allowed, and you need a variance. Just whether it's a dimensional change to a structure or a use, if it's not mentioned, then it's not allowed. And that's the twist of this. So
what does it take to give her a variance?
You don't want to know.
A variance is very, very strict. It's like Darlene said, it's not that we are against the process or just that we have to go by the bylaws. A variance, she's asking for a use variance, and by state statute, it's not allowed. Under Mass General Laws 48, I think it's section 11, it's just not allowed. You can't do it.
Yeah, that would be completely out of our hands.
Lunenburg's in Massachusetts. It was allowed in Lunenburg. So I don't understand how it's a mass law when they allowed
I'm
it.
telling you, if they granted a variance, and if they granted you a use variance, that was illegal, and I'll use the right word. That was illegal.
No, it sounds like you walked into town hall and got a permit. You didn't have to apply for anything, right?
No, I did apply. I went in with an entire presentation. The building commissioner asked where it was. He read my presentation and he signed it. And I walked out with my permit to do business on West Street.
Well, see, every town has a different bylaw, so.
Right.
Well, I hate
I
to
don't know
say
what-
it, but the only way to really rectify this is to do it the right way, is to have her apply for what's specially permitted, and the grooming is an accessory
Right.
use.
Sounds good to me.
If the application came in as a commercial kennel under like Vicky said, and it was put in there as a, you know, a subordinate, I'd use the term subordinate kennel, subordinate dog grooming, you know, for your clientele, that would be acceptable. Because you're hanging your hat on the commercial kennel aspect of it, which is a permitted use. But by itself, grooming is not allowed. And if you try to fit it into the, you know, like you said, the square peg into the round hole, you're taking precedent down the road. We may find someone with a similar application that forces our hand. It's easy to comply with the bylaws than it is to make exceptions.
Question for you, Mr. Chanel. Just because she might request a permit for a kennel doesn't mean she has to function as a kennel. She wouldn't have to board dogs, cats, or any other animals, but she would have the ability to do so if that was granted to her. Would she be able to then at that point continue to do grooming, but just never have any clients that wish to board their dog at her kennel?
Yeah, I think that's actually what Eric said.
Right.
You know,
The customer is always right. If they don't want to board their dogs, they want them groomed. That's the way it goes.
Does that mean that I would pay another $800 and wait another month for another meeting? Because I'm trying to pay my mortgage. Like, this has been 3.5 months that I've been waiting to know if I could open my business or not. I can't wait another month. I can't.
Well,
and would Eric grant it as a kennel, or would he say there's not enough room to be a kennel?
It still needs a special permit.
That's
And
a permitted.
the problem I have with it is that it wasn't advertised as a kennel. It was advertised as dog grooming. So all the abutters saw dog grooming. They didn't see kennel. So it's not fair. I'd be pretty mad if somebody got a permit for a kennel and my letter didn't say that and I didn't go. It's just not the way it's done. I realize, Candace, that this is, you know, a process for you and it's wearing you down, but you really can't do anything about it. Our hands are tied. We're looking at the wording.
Well, I can't
Not
afford
there.
another $800 in another month holdup. I'm gonna lose my house. I just moved to this town. I can't even pay my mortgage. This is my life. This is my business. It's not fair. My application sat on a desk for a month, so I couldn't even get to the November or December docket. Now I had to wait till January. It's been 3.5 months. I can't wait another month. I don't even know what I'm gonna do. I have 4 children. I wouldn't have spent the money in this place. I would have just gone and rent a place somewhere. I don't have the money to do that anymore. I put it all into here. It's not fair.
Yes, we have
I don't
have
understand
times-
what you guys are expecting from me.
At
we
what
have a
point do you
time-
guys, at what point do you guys change the bylaws? Mr. Cottigan just acknowledged that back in the 80s, there weren't groomers. So you guys know that there are groomers now. Why would you want Candace to reapply as something that she is not, rather than just present something to the town saying,
Okay,
in
we
light
can
of-
do that. We can present a petition to the town if you'd like. You'd have to have it ready by June or July of this year for the annual town meeting. It would have to be voted on at the town meeting as a bylaw change, which I believe requires a 9/10 vote.
Oh, no,
Which is a
it's
pretty hard
2/3.
No.
Dave, you
That's
need to
why
have
I
it in by March
suggested-
1st.
That's why I suggested if we could, as a body, could send a letter to the planning board, letting them know that it's come to our attention that this particular bylaw, maybe they want to consider adding grooming. And the process is the planning board is the keeper kind of the bylaws. If they have proposed changes to it, it can be done anytime. They have to have a public hearing. It goes to town meeting. It goes on the warrant, and the people of the town vote for bylaw changes. Basically, consider it taking a year. It's a year process.
Oh, no,
That's
like
not-
Yeah, and that doesn't help in this
Exactly.
situation. Yeah.
Just to answer his question.
Yeah.
Right.
No, just to correct something, Veronica mentioned, she just said for changes on this coming town meeting, it's March 1st is the deadline, so you could have an amendment drafted.
Right.
Home rule petition, like, get 20, what is it, Veronica, is it 25 signatures to get a petition to you guys?
If you
No, I
get it
think
in
it's
by
like-
March, I think it's like 10. And
10
that would be, that would be Board of Selectmen discretion. If you want to have it petitioned on, it's like 125. But you could
Okay.
bring it to us and request it be put on. If the planning board submits it, it goes on, period.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, that would be fine. Then the ZBA could write a letter to the planning board and write the proposal. So, yeah, I
But-
think that would be the quickest avenue.
Well,
We
that's
could
not
have
the quickest
done.
one is to apply for the kennel thing.
Mhm.
Because that we could do, we need,
But
what,
could
3 weeks notice for the newspaper or something like that. So we could do that in pretty close to a month.
So you want, so the only way to do this is for Candace to reapply and spend all that money and be out of work for another month? Can you
Well,
waive all the, is there a way that you guys can give her an interim permit to operate on the contingency that, you're having the additional review in a month? And then if that doesn't go, then she stops, and just something to let her get going? I mean,
No, there isn't a way that we can do temporary solutions, unfortunately.
Not our authority.
do you have any authority to make any exception?
Well, the only exceptions that we can make are through the variance process, which would take just as long as reapplying for the
No,
kennel
that
license.
would be a use variance. It's not.
Well, and that's what I mean, and everybody points out that we can't grant a variance for a different use.
I have a question. If everybody knew that this would be the outcome because I applied a month ago, why wasn't I told back then that, sorry, it's not allowed, when Rick made it seem like this was supposed to be special permitting? Isn't that what special permitting is? You guys say that this is allowed? This is my life. This is my career. This is my business. I worked really hard to build. So to just have to keep sitting back and waiting another month and another month and another month.
Right.
I just want, why wasn't this addressed a month ago? If this was not going to be allowed, why wasn't I made aware of that a month ago? I don't understand.
This was,
I already
this was
paid
on-
$800 to apply for this meeting. I don't have another $800 to do it all over again. I'm not working.
well, to answer your question, this is the first time we discussed it.
For my family.
Well,
This is the first time we've discussed it. We can't discuss it before the hearing. It's against the open meeting bylaws. So this is the first time we discussed it. We may have all had individual opinions of it, but we couldn't share it with each other because that's a violation of the open meeting laws.
You could have given her a heads up, could you not have?
The bill,
well,
Not individual board members.
yeah, it's not,
To protect a citizen of your town?
well, it's complicated. I mean, you can't tell somebody that what they're applying for is not going to pass because you don't know. I mean, you can't even have that discussion until this hearing starts. So,
but it seemed very clear right from the get-go that this was a non-starter. The moment this meeting started, you guys were set that this is not permitted. So clearly it wasn't really up for discussion. You were perhaps looking for some way to around it, but
until we get here, that we can't talk to each other. This can't be discussed until this meeting becomes public, which is what this is. It's a public hearing. That was a letter went to all the neighbors saying the zoning board is going to discuss an application for X on this date at this time. So that's the process.
Nobody complained, did they? Because I don't have many neighbors.
Well, I know it stinks, but this is where we're at. There's nothing we can do to change it. We can do two things right now. We can either deny your permit, or we could grant something else, which is what we discussed tonight, is trying to find a way to allow you to do what you want to do under the other definitions. That's not going. Or we can, you can withdraw this without prejudice and reapply under the kennel definition. Those are the options. And we can go around and around a lot more, but it's not going to change those options or where we're at.
so what is it that you can grant tonight?
well, I mean, in order to grant a permit, we need 4 out of 5 yes votes. And from what I've heard, we're not going to get that many votes tonight to approve, any special permit. So
We haven't even gone through the criteria yet. There's a whole list of criteria for a special permit to be approved. We haven't even started that because we can't get past the fact that dog grooming is not an allowable activity in our bylaws. That's the bottom line. Dog grooming is not allowable. It doesn't say it in there anywhere. So like I suggested earlier, I said earlier, I have a problem with that, but that doesn't mean I can do anything about it.
right, I think we all have a problem with it. But
What about the idea of medical services for dogs? That was permitted.
But
She would have to reapply under that, which now we're back to the beginning of the whole process again.
yeah, because the application was noticed as a dog grooming,
But-
to change the title or whatever of the application at this point would not be consonant with the advertising requirements that state Schedule 40A requires. So that's why we can't do anything about it tonight.
You know what? I have a question though. Why did it get this far though? She did make a valid point that if there was no dog grooming on it, why did she get to apply for something that doesn't exist?
What was the building inspector's
Beginning of
decision?
October.
Because
I
people can apply for whatever they
October.
want. And
Okay.
it happens all the time. It's not even in here.
Okay.
Right.
It would be nice if somebody could, stop that and go, hey, you're spinning your wheels, don't do that. But I don't know whose job that is.
Okay. That's all I was kind of wondering because
Yeah.
even when I read it, I was like, I didn't understand. I'm like, you're applying for something that isn't on the
Right,
bylaw.
right.
Yeah,
So the
I mean,
town will allow people to spend their $800 to apply for something that doesn't exist. And then you wait 4 months until you tell them you can't apply for that?
So let me correct something. The date stamp on this application for the zoning board is November 18th. We went from 1 month, 2 months. Now you're inferring 4 months.
No.
It was
I
from-
applied I applied for my permit for the business in the beginning of October. It sat on a desk for over a month. So I didn't have enough time to get on the December 8th docket because there wasn't 14 days and enough time to advertise for my hearing. So it was bumped to January 12th. I spent $30,000 building this shop from a shed. $30,000. I wish somebody told me in October when I first applied for my permit that this was not going to be allowed. That was a lot of money to just be told, sorry, grooming isn't allowed in Townsend.
Okay, so
Somebody
just to,
should have done their job months ago and told me that back then. I would not have wasted all of my
just to
money and be
just
out
to
of business.
qualify, your application was dated November 17th. And
No,
it
my
was-
special permit application was dated October 20th,
Right.
if you ask for it.
That's when we get
She didn't
involved.
see it.
Yeah, that's when we get involved. Whatever you had prior to that with the building commissioner, that's before we get involved. The building commissioner told you that your use proposal was not acceptable, not permitted. He said that.
Right. But he never saw my application. It sat on the desk for a month. Before I even started working here, I applied for a special permit. He just didn't get it. If you look at the email, you'll see that. He sent me an email asking me why I was doing this work without getting a permit. I said I did apply for a special permit.
Yeah, his email to you was dated November 15th, and
Yeah.
the letter to you was dated November 15th as well.
That's because that's when he first got my permit,
All right,
my
well,
application.
you know,
No, I applied in October.
the problem is we can't help you tonight. I do think we have a path forward. And as you say, it's probably going to cost you some money to reapply.
I can't afford to reapply. I can't afford to live in your town. I wish I stayed where I was.
All right.
So the legal aspects of, and it's like Darlene said, there's different options. If we deny this by law, there's a 2-year restriction on reapplying. So she needs, I would think, she would have to withdraw the application. And then she could reapply.
Withdraw it without prejudice and then
Withdraw without
reapply.
prejudice.
Just save it, yeah. Cover all the bases.
But I don't know if we're gonna get any agreement on that.
Well, it's 7:25. What are we doing?
Well,
I recommend she withdraws and it reapplies as a kennel.
Right. What we might want to do is continue this or something to a date uncertain, so we don't have to get action and tonight and take it from there.
Give the applicant some time to think about her potential avenues that she could take.
Right.
Perhaps the town can revisit this in private and see if there's any other
Yeah.
avenue. I mean, clearly you're driving her out of business, and the town has made a number of mistakes, maybe not with this board, but the town as a whole botched this up in many ways, and she's being buried in bureaucracy. And if this is not a quintessential example of how you drive a single business owner out of business in your town, I mean, I can't imagine anything worse than this. So I think as a unit, you might feel like your hands are tied, but perhaps there is a way that you guys can talk about this and maybe consult privately with the powers that be and all the other administrations and all the other departments and see if there's a way that you can change the wording and squeeze her into this without her having to reapply and wait another few months and spend $800. There just has to be a better way of protecting the people who move into this town, who are good-natured, who have a legitimate business, who are loving people, who just want to do their jobs. Because if you have your way, she's probably never going to work. And I think that's not what you want on your shoulders.
It's not our We're an
No, wait.
appeal board. We hear the decisions of the other boards. If the other boards made a decision that's not in your favor or her favor or isn't likable, you need to talk to those boards. We can only decide as the final board in the chain as to whether or not we can grant a permit or a variance or anything of that nature based on the decisions of all the boards before us. We can't preempt those boards. We're letting her know. We discussed quite extensively tonight the potential options she could have in order to try and get things back on track. We're, all of us, if you took a straw poll right now, all of us have no problem with this at all. The law says we cannot give her what she's asking for. Therefore, the law either needs to be changed or the application needs to be changed to conform with the law. That's all we can do at this point. We tried stretching the law as much as we can by suggesting apply as a kennel, apply as a beauty salon.
Okay,
All
so
we do is
have her,
offer suggestions. We cannot bend or break the law. Our hands are tied in that manner.
so if you can't bend the law, perhaps you can allow her to reapply and
Yes,
expedite it, and don't charge her anything, because obviously she's out of money.
we
And
can't expedite anything with the other boards. We can only expedite our own matters. We can get a hearing up in, what'd you say, Bill, in 3 weeks or less? The other
I mean,
boards are
it's
gonna be
basically the newspaper advertisement would
two
govern it.
editions
That's
in
all.
2 consecutive weeks, so that could happen. But for now, the option that we're gonna recommend, or we can't even recommend, we're suggesting withdraw the application without prejudice. In other words, no decision for or against. She can start over. Yes, she might have to hustle. We could be able to hear this in another 2 weeks if she can get through all the other boards. She may want to ask the other boards of, well, do I need to repay your permit again, or can you just apply what I've already paid? We have no control over that. Withdraw without prejudice, start over, and hustle. That's the best advice we can give. And we're not even supposed to give that kind of advice.
I have a concern. Candace has been coming in and out to the Zoom meeting, so she may not have heard the complete, and then we lost her again. Complete thought. I don't know if there's a way for Beth to communicate with her, or somehow that she gets to hear or somehow know what we said, what's been said over the last 5-10 minutes.
I don't know if you can hear me, but there is a phone number on her application. If you want, I can call that number. Are you talking about communicate with her right now or after?
I guess after the meeting, make sure that she understood what we said. I don't know what we can do.
Yeah,
He's
no,
here.
that's
So why don't we, somebody make a motion to continue this hearing?
Right.
Oh, you want to do it to a date uncertain?
You can't.
You can't do that.
All right.
Well, thank you.
Bill,
pick
why'd
a
you put that idea in my head?
Sorry. Yeah, so is there a motion to continue? And one of the things that we could do is we could waive our fee, right?
Yep.
We've done that before.
Yep,
For
that's not a problem.
reapplication.
I don't think that'd be a problem at all.
So please, someone make a motion and we'll move this off the table for right now.
So if we're going to continue this, what would be an appropriate date or time?
Well, I'm thinking the February 16th to give her enough time to get the new application in. I mean, if she's willing to withdraw it now without prejudice, it would make it easier. We could make that motion to waive I don't know how you're going to waive the application fee on this application for a new application. I don't know logistically how that works, but.
We've done it before. Years ago, somebody came in with a kind of similar situation where they had to go back and start over, and we waived the second fee, the fee that we would charge for the second hearing.
Yep.
Not for this one. So in other words, she wouldn't have to pay twice to go before us.
So Dave, what did you say, February?
February 16th is a month out roughly, and that would give her enough time to reapply. And then if we don't take any action, we can have both of them at the same time and just deny it. The one that's now, deny that, and then work on the new one.
Okay.
The motion to be made for waiving of the fees, though, I think that should be done before continuation. So it's a separate motion, I think. And it's not going to be $800. I mean, the last time it was because she applied for an appeal and the special permit. So it's going to be roughly half of that.
Yep, it's $300.
$300.
But if
All
we
right,
waive
is there-
the fee,
is
what does
there-
she do? If we waive the fee, she pays for the advertising on her own? Is that how that
Right.
works?
Yes, and I'll have to re-notify abutters. So that's
Right.
where you need at least 4 weeks.
And that's the
That's
point.
the
of
very
the whole thing.
minimum.
Okay.
The very minimum is 4 weeks.
Okay.
So Beth, logistically, if this gets done tomorrow, with being the 13th, could we get everything out and still have the hearing on the 16th so we can have them at the same time?
I would rather give that 5 weeks from the
Okay.
from the date the town clerk stamps in the application. 5 weeks is better.
Okay, so that would be the 23rd of February.
How
You could
about, is there any way to make it 2 weeks? Why are you guys pushing it to 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 7 weeks? Why
Well,
is there
Daniel,
such?
Daniel, if you let me answer. There are statutory notice requirements in the law. We have to comply with that. That's all it is. We're not arbitrarily creating 4 or 5 weeks. It's just the timeline required by notice, legal notice that has to go out. That's all it is.
Because earlier I heard someone say maybe 2 weeks.
That was David. He doesn't do the administrative work and get the notices out in the newspaper. He doesn't
And
know.
I said for the newspaper, there has to be 2 consecutive weeks. I'm sorry if I led you to misbelieve that. It's 2
Okay.
weeks just for the newspaper notifications, the legal notifications. And then any time above and beyond that in order to get the rest of this done.
Yeah,
And-
Beth is
and
the
to add-
administrative. She's the one that she's the one that does all the work. We just sit here and look pretty on our meetings.
But to add insult to injury, you actually require Candace to pay for advertising of this meeting, which, by the way, only had like, I don't know how many people came who were advertised. It just seems cruel. That seems
Well,
so cruel.
We feel the same way of some of these Chapter 40A requirements. I mean, at this day and age, we should be able to advertise on the internet and be done with it. But we're keeping all these small papers alive with these advertisements.
Right on the backs of Candace.
Well, on the backs of everybody. Yes, that's right. And that's the way the governor wants it. So, the legislature wants it. I mean, it's hard to get them to change.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
so I move to continue this hearing to February 23rd.
Second.
At 5:30?
PM.
Darlene, may I ask you to withdraw? We have to make a motion to waive the fees first before we continue the meeting, so we still have jurisdiction on it.
I make a motion that we waive some of the fees. I don't know logistically which ones.
It's the waiving of the application fee for a special permit.
I make a motion to waive the application fee for the special permit.
I'll second that.
Okay, polling the members, Darlene,
Yes.
Dave Chanel,
Yes.
Sean Pearson,
Yes.
Vicky,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. Okay.
Can I
Done.
just ask if you're allowed to have 2 applications pending on the same property? Does she not need to withdraw?
I don't think there's an issue with that.
Okay.
It's different. It's a different application, different purpose.
Application.
Okay.
If it was for the same thing, you would have double jeopardy. Wouldn't
Yeah,
work.
right. That would be problematic if it was 2 identical applications.
Yeah, if they seem close enough, that's the reason I'm concerned.
Well, the intent, Beth, would be is that she'd withdraw the first application before we start the second.
It would be easier to withdraw it tonight, quite frankly. But
Yeah.
All right, so is there a motion then to continue?
Move to continue to February 23rd, 5:30 PM.
Second.
Polling members, Darlene,
Yes.
Dave, Chanel,
yes,
Sean Pearson,
Yes.
and Vicky,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes too. Okay, so the hearing is continued to 5:30. And probably advertise when you get a new application, advertise it for 5:35 or something on the 23rd. Does that make sense, Beth?
I prefer to have the public hearing at 5:45 so the board can meet at 5:30 and be ready for the public hearing at 5:45. Can you amend your motion to continue the public hearing to 5:45?
Friendly amendment to my motion to continue to February 23rd at 5:45 PM.
All right, polling the members, Darlene,
Yes.
Dave Chanel.
I'll second it and then say yes.
Thank you. Sean Pearson
Yes.
and Victoria,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. Okay. Motion
And Beth,
carried.
can you put that in the email, what time to actually log in? Because it said 5:45 tonight.
Oh, the agenda's at 5:30, so always go by the agenda.
Okay.
Okay.
So Beth, you
Are we
think you
done?
can get that down and advertise for the same day?
If I have
if
an
she apply-
application, if the application is brought into town hall and received by the town clerk,
By when?
tomorrow would be great. I'd like a scanned copy if possible, because I am working remotely until I'm out of quarantine on Monday. So, as soon as the town clerk stamps it, I can go to work on it and I can publish it and I can get the legal notice done and I can notify abutters. But that does, there is the timeline. I'll send the timeline. Everybody has the special permit timeline, so.
All right, so given Candace the
Candace?
timeline, if she
Yeah,
has,
Candace, you're muted right now.
She has
Did
a
you want to
copy of
say
it, yes.
something?
Candace, do you understand what we're doing tonight?
You want me to go apply as a kennel when I'm not a kennel? That's what we've come down to? Is that what you were asking me to do?
Yeah, basically, that's the quickest way out of this situation.
Okay. Unless people complain because they don't want me to have a kennel.
Well,
It's
And
our
then I gotta wait
decision.
another month.
we'll cross that bridge when we
Right
get to it. I mean, we didn't have any abutters that showed up tonight that I know of.
Because I don't have any.
Don't worry about it.
And that's in your favor.
I have a question. What's the setback on your garage from the street?
It's far.
So it's like 100 feet or so?
I don't have a ruler. I mean, a tape measure long enough. I'll have to try and
Bill-
measure it.
Bill, hang on
Yeah.
1 second. I can show you. Hartley, do a screen share for me, please.
It looked like a long setback to me.
It
It's
is.
a very long setback.
Hartley, are you there?
Bill, why do you want to know that?
I'm
Dave, I'm
just-
doing.
I'm
it.
just
All right, hold
curious.
on, please.
what did you want to do it for, Bill?
Because it obviously has a bearing on the historic commission, the setback of the thing. If it was right out on the street, that would be very different from a 100-foot setback on a small garage.
Yeah, I like I said, this is the first time in 25 plus years that we've been involved with the historic. I don't know what their jurisdiction is.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
That's gotta be 110, 120 anyways.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Great, thank you.
Thanks, Harley.
All right, is that it? Is there anything else to be said tonight?
Just to ask Candace one more time, do you realize what you need to do? If you have any questions, contact Beth.
Okay.
Great,
Okay, she can
thank you.
help you with, she'll help explain what you need to do.
Are we ready to adjourn the meeting or what are we doing?
I think we're done. If nobody has anything else to say, is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All
Sorry.
members, Darlene,
Yes.
David Chanel,
Yes.
Sean Pearson,
Yes.
Victoria,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. Okay. We're
Oh,
done.
one more thing. We
Sure.
didn't get a motion for Bill to sign that decision, so you're all gonna have to come in. Sorry.
Oh,
Isn't that administrative?
No, yeah, the first decision of the night for
Oh, yeah.
8 Taft Street. So I will let you all know when it's ready.
Was that a decision or just a?
It's a decision, yeah. Every
Okay.
time you take a vote on a proposal, or rather a petition, I write a decision, and it has to be signed by all the board members. And we have, typically we'll give that authority to Bill, but we forgot tonight, and I'm sorry. So I'll see you all next week sometime.
Okay.
All right.
yeah. Email it to me and I'll sign electronically.
Okay, I don't know if the town clerk's gonna let that go.
Oh, the SJC and the governor said that's acceptable if you have a certified program.
I hope we
I guess
do.
the rest of you were walking. I'm not.
All right, thank you.
Thank
I'll
you.
come in.
Good night.
Bye-bye.